Shoba Fit, how's it? So, what I'll be doing now, I'll be showing you guys how to mix your vocals, both especially basics, and I'll be showing how I do them. Now, a lot of people do them differently, so we all have our own way of. This is probably the most important. Get someone who can sing first. Make sure that kukhona space is quiet when you're recording. I think that's okay. Even this mic is not that expensive. Get a cheap mic for around 6 to 7. They usually do a good job. Yeah, but at least at least like everything else you can try to fix it. But if someone is singing off key and off beat, be a tough job. Now after you get those, secondly, what you have to do after you've recorded your vocals, you can see there's chops as needs up, chop there, chop. You see those little chops. So that's where this guy Umechek, when he is singing, he's usually catching his breath because you can like continue singing throughout. So those times whereby he has to catch his breath. Yeah, but there is example I want you guys to hear at this point. You can tell your friend. Well, I think you can clearly hear. Okay, let me just remove most of those things that I left out. The part will be just before he says, "You can tell all your friends." He catches his breath. You can tell all your friends. You can tell all your friends. So those are the parts whereby you have to chop them off. But I don't necessarily, let me not say chop them, but you can take down your volume, yes, or other spaces, or chop them off. Most of them I chop them off, but the reason why I have to leave some of those pie is that this guy is still a human being, has to sound like a human, a robot. So those parts I usually prefer sometimes to lower a volume, yazo, or maybe chop them off, yabo. But when those like build up, they kind of ruin a vocal. Yeah. So the next step from there is to send Liwe yako mixer and make sure you arrange the track yako with a vocal. You don't want to have your vocalist singing low notes whereby your track is on a high intensity. You get what I mean? If you check his voice here, how he's singing. Like adore you in my emotion. And in Alapa. Like it's different parts of the track. So each track now has to complement the different parts of the vocal. That's why I always say don't make something flat or go India is about up high or whatever. So that's the exact same thing we almost did. So okay, well, let's check out the vocal chain. At this moment, you see there's nothing. Even the EQ is as is. Saying jalo icons one nix. So the first thing on my funny since Umechek is umchita, but his voice yake la smoothness ne high pitch like females is ninzi. So yeah, now we will be definitely rolling off lower frequencies, but we'll be rolling off a lot more lower frequencies. Yeah, bo. So let's listen. So first things first, I'll apply a high pass filter up. Yo, sensitivity high cut, sensitivity high pass. Yeah. So what's gonna happen here is that I'll remove some of these lower frequencies on this vocal voice yak. Let me confess. Go up a bit. Let me confess. Go up a bit. I never loved nobody. So what I like to do with stage change is that going up and exceeding a point and then slowly bringing it back to find the sweet spot. Yabo. So I usually use my ear. I most of the times close my eyes when doing this while taking down the high pass. Let me confess. I never loved nobody like I adore you. And the moment I feel like, okay, I think I've got the sweet spot, some of the frequencies I'm happy with, then I can play with the slope, bring down as a slope a bit. Let me confess, I never loved nobody like I adore you. I think I have a bit of those low frequencies. Maybe you can go up a bit. Then, I'm sliding a slope, must send a slope over, and then reset this guy. Let me confess, I never loved nobody like I adore you. In my emotions, they rising up like I'm catching fever. I think that's a bit okay. Yeah, bo. So the next thing that I'm going to do is that I'll check for frequencies whereby I have to remove kule vocal lena ndinayo, because not everything is okay even from there. Yeah, bo. So what I'll do up, I'll first narrow leeway yakho and boost. So what I'm trying to do by boosting there, I'll quickly like swoop through the whole frequency range and listen to those frequencies which maybe a bit much, don't sound like something that I want to use, then cut them off ke ngokulewe.
Let me confess, I never loved nobody like I adore you.
Hey, if something has to sound very funny, I cover up in a high sound.
Let me confess, I never loved nobody like I adore you.
Like, now, guys, these things obviously will take a bit more of experience for you to get to understand. But I'm just trying to show you the basics, yabo. So, la main vocal. So I'm just going to dip down first of all. Check actual frequency range bar around 2000, yabo, frequency. So I'm just going to cut paya exactly, yabo. Cut pa. So I'm removing as I waking when tetanus. Maybe I'll do the same thing once again. Apa.
Let me confess, I never loved.
So this part usually has umoya boxing when it comes to low mid frequencies, but okay, I'll use my E.
Let me confess, I never loved nobody like I adore you. And my emotions, they rising up like I'm catching fever. Ooh, let me confess, I never loved nobody like I adore you. And my emotions, they rising up like I'm catching fever. Ooh, and when we first time, I can't describe the way you make me feel, babe.
Okay, I'll probably cut around 600, but not that much, this time, because there's not that much I have to fight with up. So next thing, I'll just boost up again higher frequencies, because in vocal yam back then as a sparkle and a sprinkle right at the top. Yabo. So maybe I'll just give it a boost nyana there, yabo. Not that much, yabo. So I have the shape at the end of the day, like for Lena at least tutorial. It's not it's not really that much, but okay, I'll just keep the shape for basic. So next thing, we'll just get to a compression here too. So I'll use Indulge a limiter for every one of you guys to understand. So compression is that there are those parts of the track whereby the vocalist will be singing very low volume zake, and then there are those parts whereby the vocalist will be like singing up high, a shout or something. So if you'd like keep those at up compression yako, so some mamele grand a shout at the end, the volume will be much higher, but or sometimes the volume is much lower. So why we use compression is that we're trying to get something a bit uniform. We want to be a connection difference so that it sounds high at sometimes, at some points it sounds low. It's only normal, but we don't want over exaggerated. Particularly any track, I don't think I'm struggling with too much of that.
Let me confess,
because what I'm trying to say, difference range I would be like visible nalapa spectrum, because here you can see we have an almost uniform volume throughout the whole track. So maybe this was compressed prior and if for manele vocal, because you can also hear that there are some of the effects already there. So I'm not seeing that much difference on the volume, so I probably wouldn't use the compression upper. But let's say there was, so what you're supposed to do, go up, head over to compression yako.
Let me confess, I never loved nobody like I adore you.
Maybe there.
In my emotions, they rising up like I'm catching fever. Ooh.
So at this part, once we corner Ezalandog, you can see as a little bit of difference is taken up from as purple patches. This is compressed wise. So if the vocal was like that much high of a difference, would probably add more compression, and then it would like squash it and bring it down, and ibe a bit uniform. But kule track we don't have to do that much, so it's like, yeah. And then from there again, you are almost done with everything for me most of the time. From then you probably add effects zakho. Delay, I love it delay a lot. So
and when I first time I came to the way
it doesn't have to be a lot ever. So we're just gonna bring down your white knob, find maybe the right timing.
Let me confess, I never.
So maybe big 8, bring down the wet once again.
Let me confess, I never loved nobody like I adore you. In my,
I think timing is like quite perfect clear point, but King will always have as Ando's overlap high delay. So someone once suggested a channel that I use in a pick controller. I still don't even know how to use a pick controller. I know the hard way of doing this, which is what is this thing? Automation. Because now I normally like automate it delay. Then once the vocal plays, I let the delay be done with automation. Once the vocal stops playing, then the delay follows. So that's how you have a clear mix between a vocal and delay. You don't want this thing overlapping the other. Maybe sometimes you'd want it for effect delay, but usually most of the time I feel like a vocal should like stand out and be there presence, especially when you give it some space. So I'd probably leave it as is. And then you add your reverb if you want to do a reverb. There's a lot of reverb in. Yeah. Let's check.
Heart skips a beat when I see you, and you stole my heart, and I'm willing to be your man. And you stole my heart, and I'm willing to be.
Even this one, you don't have to go overboard with it. Just be smooth, be gentle with your reverb. Know when to use it, because first of all, this vocal came with the reverb once I heard Yona.
Hope you feel what I feel, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe I'll use effects on what's the space, delay in a reverb. It's burning, but you already know this track, guys. Yeah. That is it. I hope guys you enjoyed that one. These are the types of tutorials which are more important than you getting entertained while watching his videos. Notice that I didn't play much of music, but I specified on his intro which are technical and in detail. So you guys watching more of the stuff you like to listen to as a listener but not as a producer is actually your own choice. And these are the types of tutorial I prefer. Something which not more music is being played, but more of a technical side than of FL Studio. I hope I make sense, and I hope you enjoy this one. I try to make it short.